So, if you were picked as a juror on this case and had to view sort of graphic images, autopsy photos, crime scene photos involving a child, do you believe that your emotion would be overwhelming for you?
I don't believe so. As being a nurse, this is not a great situation. I can't predict. Just trying to be honest.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you have a concern that it's possible that the emotional nature of the evidence in this case, which might include even, family members testifying, that would sort of influence your ability to be truly fair and impartial?
I think I could be fair and impartial, but I don't know if I would be a complete mess, to be honest with you.
Okay. And if you are a complete mess, as however you're describing that or thinking of, do you think that would kind of hinder your ability to deliberate with a clear mind or kind of overwhelm sort of your ability to evaluate the evidence?
Not at all.
Okay. How do you think it would affect you if you were a complete mess?
I just had a loss.
Right.
So.
And I understand, and I am sorry for that loss. And I understand talking about this topic is making you a little bit emotional this morning. Are those thoughts of the loss that you've recently had, given that this does involve allegations of homicide and death, do you have concerns about you being the right juror for this case?
Yes.
Okay. And is it just due to your personal loss and the nature of the charge in this case? I just want to make sure.
Not the nature of the charge, just my personal things that I've recently had to go through.
Okay. And do you think that you might be thinking of those things during the trial if you were a juror?
No, not
Okay.
that. I just, like I said, I'm a crier. And if you're looking for someone who's going to completely keep it together, I don't think I'm that person.
I appreciate you sharing.
Sure.
If you could pass it down to juror 1. Same kind of questions about the nature of this case. It involves a child. How do you feel about what your fellow front row jurors have been talking about?
Well, I can be neutral, fair and neutral, and look at the evidence and let the evidence guide me based on the law. Do
you think that presuming Mr. Williams innocent is disrespectful to the Rogers family?
This is a system of justice. We're innocent until proven guilty, and that's why the courts exist to put it all out based on the law. So,
and Juror 1, I think in your questionnaire you said that you were a chair of a police advisory committee. Is that right?
Former chair.
Yes, you used to be, right? What does that mean?
Well, I worked along with several other appointees by the mayor, and we worked with police department to review budgets, review other matters and issues, come up with ways of building relationships with people in the community. We held conversation with a cop, and we would go to different parts of the community where citizens could come and have an open forum with police chief to talk about various issues impacting their community and how we could build better trust and relationship.
Okay. So in that position, it sounds like you had a lot of contact and interaction with law enforcement.
Sure.
Right? And so is there, anything about that, I know you're not still on that committee or the chair of that committee, but that you feel like would cause you to really tend to believe law enforcement over other witnesses or side with them if they come in and testify in court just because they're law enforcement?
Well, no. I think that in any organization, you have people who sometimes don't uphold the standard that they're supposed to. So I know I don't. I take every person that comes before me based on the evidence. So I'm not looking at them because they have a badge to think that they're. It's based on the evidence.
You can pass the mic back to Juror 11. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think about your ability to be a juror given on this specific case, given the nature of the allegations and the fact that it involves the death of a child?
Honestly, I had never even considered what I would be as a juror until I sat through the past 2 days, and I've had a lot of time to really think about everything that we've discussed, everything we've gone through. And I think I still fall in one of those categories of I'm just such an open sponge. I like that from day one on Friday when somebody made that comparison of just, this is also new to me. I did raise 2 children. I am a mother. So, but I also know that things happen in life. I know that there's situations that bring different scenarios that could be bigger than others that cause bad, tragic things. The loss of a child, I think, is the most tragic thing that can happen in this world. Do I think that there could be a reason behind that could prove him innocent? I haven't heard anything to say that he's guilty, and that's where I stand is I have never realized how innocent somebody can be until I've sat here and listened to you all describe it over and over again, that he is an innocent person. He is, and I've never really thought about whether or not somebody's guilty or not in a courtroom before. Like I said, I've watched shows, but it's all pretend. It's not real to me. So I think I'm probably a very good candidate for it because I can see both sides and hear both sides and be able to still see it for what it is. Because I know I always was somebody there's 2 sides to every story, and my dad would say there's 3 because then there's the truth. But I think that I would be able to be very open-minded throughout the whole case.
So as we sit here right now, obviously not having heard any evidence, do you struggle with presuming Mr. Williams' innocence at all, just given the nature of the allegation?
I would hope that if my son or if I was sitting there or anybody I loved, that the jurors would be thinking they're innocent until proven guilty. That's what I would hope for myself or for anybody I know. So that's where I kind of look at it as like, isn't that what we're supposed to offer each other? Is that gesture, that kindness, that until I was proven wrong, and I like being proven wrong if I'm going to be proven wrong. But at the same time, again, I'm very open to hearing everything first.
If you could pass it next to Juror 12. What do you think about this? Do you have feelings about the nature of this case and how it might affect you as a juror?
Just like everybody else has been saying, I mean, unless you're review the evidence, and hear from both sides, I mean, that would be the only way I can determine, my opinion on the matter. As of right now, we're only going based on what we were told. But on my experience, I just think that at least until we review all the evidence and we hear and see everything we have to see, I mean, that would be the only way I can make an assumption, because I couldn't even be 100% right on anything. No one is. And that's just the way I feel.
And do you feel like, given the tragic nature of these allegations, a child has died, that someone must be held responsible?
I mean, I don't think anyone needs to be held responsible until everything is presented and everything is being reviewed. That's just the way I feel. I understand that sometimes we might be inclined to make our own judgment based on what we were told or the bare things that we see. But me personally, I prefer to see everything and, go beyond the reasonable doubt. Okay, this is what happened because of A, B, and C, and go from there. And even with that, there could be a possibility I'll still be wrong or I miss something. So that's just the way I feel.
Appreciate you sharing. You can pass the mic next to you to juror 13. I'm going to ask you slightly, to change topics a little bit with you. I want to talk to you about if you have any experience, personal experience, with people that experience homelessness. In terms of just any interactions or anything like that.
Well, a little bit. I work in Miami, and going into work, there's people, and then there's on the highways at exit ramps, and then also a few on Collins Avenue as I walk to my place of employment,
Okay.
and people that like pull in the parking lot. So I've donated or gone and given them things or bought things for them and just given them to them.
Do you feel that individuals who are homeless are more likely to commit crimes than those
I'm sorry?
are more likely to commit crimes than those who are not?
Not necessarily.
And how come?
Well, I think, some have fallen on hard times. Doesn't make you a criminal. I think just like there's good and bad in whether you're homeless or not, it just depends on your feelings and what you want to do. There's a lot of help out there that can be given if they also seeked it.
Mm-hmm.
So some choose it.
And how do you feel about do you feel like you would have an issue or a problem being a fair juror given the nature of these allegations and the fact that there is a death of a child involved?
I'm not good with violence. I don't like violence. I don't watch it on TV. I don't like fighting. I just detest all that. It just disturbs me.
Sure.
So this would disturb me, I think.
Do you think it would, and I think no one in here condones violence in that way,
No, but I really can't. I can't.
If you were picked for this jury and you would have to see, autopsy photographs, potentially.
Not
crime scene
interested.
photographs.
I'm really not. I can't. I just don't like seeing that stuff. I can't.
Okay. Do you think that you would be able to look at it as a juror and evaluate the evidence, or do you think that your feelings about it are so strong it might interfere with you evaluating the evidence and impartially?
I would have a very hard time looking at it, seeing it. I can't say that that would sway me one way or the other, but I have to be honest. I would not want to see it. I just would have a hard time.
Okay. Thank you. If you could pass to juror 15. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. Do you feel like folks that are experiencing homelessness are more likely to commit crimes than others?
No, I don't.
All right. Do you have any personal experience with interactions with?
Yeah, I grew up in New York and have been around it for most of my life. That doesn't really faze me. Like I understand the situation.
Could you just repeat yourself for the reporter?
Yeah, I grew up in New York and I was around homeless people most of my life, walking around in the city. I'm not scared of them or not, that like life happens, right? That's how I see it. So no, it wouldn't affect me.
Do you think that, given the nature of this case, it's more difficult to presume innocence?
No.
And how come?
I believe everybody deserves a fair chance to be represented and for things to be articulated and proven. I don't rush to judgment for anything.
I can pass it next to you to juror 16, right?
Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
Do you think you would struggle with being fair in a case that involves the death of a child?
No, I think it's tragic that it happened, but I mean, like we've discussed several times before, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So everyone deserves a fair trial.
Do you think that, do you have any experience with individuals who are experiencing homelessness?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts or opinions as it relates to, do you think they're more likely to commit crimes?
I do not. I think it's tragic that they're homeless and sad, but everyone's character and how they were raised and how they think is on their own individual basis. So it's hard to group people.
Thank you. If you can pass it down to juror 20.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And you?
Thank you. Well, what about you? As we'll just pivot off the homeless, talking about folks who are homeless. What are your thoughts?
You know, I can be empathetic towards that. I have taken in family members that, you know, were getting divorced as means of providing, you know, a home for them. And like juror 11, I have learned, yes, 11, I would say I'm very similar in that regard. I only have been a mom to one child. However, as a high school teacher, I feel I'm a mom to, after 30 years, thousands of children, and I do take them in as my own. And I have had the unfortunate situation where I've had to deal with the loss of students. And surprisingly, I handle myself in a calm demeanor despite how emotional and even of much of a crier. I think it's that I have to be a leader in front of and represent my students and help them understand and learn that these are parts of life that we can't predict it, but we're going to have to learn how to respond and react.
So, you know, obviously, I think that kind of goes into the nature of this case, right? And you are a teacher. I'm sorry that you've had to deal with the loss of students in your own life. Anything about that, you know, that you feel might cause you to just have sympathy towards the Rogers family that would affect your verdict?
No, again, I'm not a believer in perfection. I'll be the first to tell you perfection is fiction, and I'm not a grudge holder. Every day is a fresh start. And I, as a teacher again, and just grading of math papers, this is the answer, and I have to look at the work provided and say, yes, this is acceptable work to support the answer, and still look at that student in the face and say, this is why you received the grade that you received, and go from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And pass it behind you to juror 30. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you feel about being, you know, the nature of this case, and if you were a juror, do you feel like you could keep the presumption of innocence throughout?
Yes, because everybody is innocent until proven otherwise. So that would be my basis. This man here is innocent until proven guilty.
And in terms of folks that are experiencing homelessness, do you have any experience or interactions with individuals?
Yes, when I live in Boston, as I have conversation with homeless individuals, you know, I used to be a taxi driver, so I drove them home when it's cold and everything else. So I do have a conversation and, you know, experience with them.
Do you think that they are more likely to commit crimes just because they're homeless?
There are circumstances in life. So somebody might be homeless, but that doesn't mean the person is not a good person. I will not wait because homeless, he has to be guilty. That will not be my point of view.
Thank you. You could actually pass it back behind you to juror 40.
Morning.
Good morning. What about, do you have any, you know, personal feelings or beliefs towards individuals that are homeless?
No, I've worked the majority of my career in inner city hospitals, so
Do you feel like they're more likely to commit crimes just because they're homeless?
no. There's good and bad on all sides of the tracks.
Okay. I think you're a retired trauma RN, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about potentially being a juror on a case that involves the death of a child?
I don't want people to think I'm
Say that
mean.
once more.
I don't have any children. I I don't personally like children. So this is a human body to me.
Understood. If you could pass it next to you to 39. Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel about personally, really applying the presumption of innocence when the allegations and the case involves the death of a child?
I think you have to assume that they're innocent. And I mean, this is a momentous decision, not one to be made lightly. So I personally would have to see and hear everything to make my decision. I'm not going to presume he's guilty.
Do you think that homeless individuals are more prone or more likely to commit crimes simply?
No,
because
not
they're
really.
homeless? Sorry, I just didn't hear it.
No, not really.
Okay. Thank you. If you can, Miss Juror 37, next to you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I believe from your questionnaire, you had stated you're a director of a nonprofit.
Yeah.
What is that nonprofit?
It's a reproductive rights organization.
Okay. And that you were a 10-year victim advocate. Is that right?
Yes.
Was that with a prosecutor's office or what was that?
The prosecutor's office in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. That's definitely an emotionally intense position, right?
Yes.
That you did for a long time. I'd have to imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a lot of interaction with law enforcement and prosecutors during that time.
Yes.
So do you feel like that experience that you had and that work that you did would give you some sort of bias or sympathy to the Rogers in this case?
No.
Okay. And how come?
People are charged with crimes they didn't commit all the time. The fact is that someone passed away, but that does not mean that this defendant did that. It just means that this defendant is charged with this crime right now. And yes, I worked with a lot of victims over this amount of time, but my job was to be supportive of them and understanding of them, but it was still to participate in the court process. Most of our cases would plea out or would be dismissed. A few of them would go to trial, so I would sit through trials.
Mm-hmm.
But again, my role was always just to act as support on behalf of the office. But for lack of a better way of saying it, you would still have people that I would work with that were victims that it didn't matter whether or not I liked them. My job was to show up for them. My job was to be, I couldn't judge what was happening. So I had my role. Some people I liked, some people I didn't like, and that's how it went.
Understood. Do you think that given the nature of some of the evidence that you would see as a juror in this case, if you were picked, that you would be able to evaluate, graphic images and autopsy photos, things like that? Would you be able to evaluate them non-emotionally, for lack of a better term?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You can pass it next to you to juror 36. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like just because somebody's homeless, it makes them more likely to commit a crime?
No,
Okay. And how come?
because I worked in the subways in New York, seen the homeless every day. Half of them are no problem with them.
All right. How do you feel about, sort of the emotional nature and the heaviness of the subject matter of this case if you were
I
picked
can't
as a
let
juror?
that bother me. You got to stay focused.
Okay. Do you think that you would have difficulty with that?
No,
Okay. Do you think that, let me ask you, okay. I'll move to next to you, juror 35.
Morning.
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 How do you feel about the nature of this case being a potential juror?
I believe man, woman, or child, it's still a murder, so it needs to be looked at on an even playing field. I said, I believe, sorry, as a man, woman, or child, it doesn't matter. It's a murder, so it needs to be looked at as an even playing field or even like line to start.
Do you think that because Mr. Williams is sitting here in court that he must have done something wrong?
No, not at all. People are charged all the time with things they did not do.
Okay. And do you think that you would have difficulty viewing photographs, evidence of a, potentially graphic nature?
No, ma'am.
And how do you feel in regards to what I've been asking some of your fellow jurors in regards to folks experiencing homelessness?
I'm impartial on it. We own a business in Riviera, so we've employed a few homeless people over the year, and I've seen it go both ways to where they're amazing people. They come in every day, and then things happen when they go home, or they're back out in the streets, and then you never see them again. So I've seen it go both ways personally, so I'm impartial about that.
Yeah. If you could hand it next to juror 34, right?
Correct.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel about the nature of this case? Kind of the same questions I've been asking your fellow jurors.
It's a death. It's tragic. And do I want to see pictures? Not really, but I can be impartial and know that it's part of the facts in the system of.
If you were to be picked as a juror and you were to hypothetically see testimony from a family member of Mr. Rogers, or just an emotional witness, right? Whether it's a friend or family member. Do you think that just seeing that emotion, right? That gives all of us, I think, or a lot of us, a reaction. Right. Do you think that you would let that factor into your ultimate decision as to whether the state has proven their case?
I would expect them to be probably emotional. That's logical to me, but it doesn't affect what I would think.
If you can pass it down to juror 31. Morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel about the nature of this case, the seriousness of it, the fact that it involves a child? If you were picked as a juror?
Of course, a child is a child. That's undoubtedly something that I believe the core of any mother, or it has to somehow touch you. But that's on a personal basis. But as an adult, as someone who's up there in age, you go and you have to face the reality of everyday living, and so you look at it and you judge what is in front of you, and you see what is in front of you.
Do you think you would struggle or you would have difficulty as a juror viewing graphic photographs?
No. In past life, not in this country, I was a midwife, so no.
Okay. Do you think that presuming Mr. Williams innocent is in some ways disrespectful to the Rogers family?
No. It's not because someone is sitting in that seat automatically guilty. He's sitting in that seat because somehow someone thought that they were involved, but that does not indicate in any way guilt. So it's up to the prosecution to verify and prove that. So as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with the family until the prosecution does their job. Then it's a different story. But until then, no.
Okay. And do you think that because someone's experiencing homelessness that they are more likely to commit a crime because of that?
There's good and bad in every walks of life, from me to the police to you to the judge. So everyone is capable of crime. Everyone is capable of being good. So absolutely not.
All right. If you could pass it back to juror 42.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
Good. What do you feel about the nature of the case, if that affects your ability to truly presume Mr. Williams innocent and be a fair juror in this case?
You know, if it was an adult, I'd be fine. But as a child, I have such strong feelings on protection to children. I don't think I could not have that influence my decision.
Okay. Just because of the nature of...
Exactly. I just, when it comes to kids, it's just too big for me. I'm just very protective of children. And,
okay.
you know, my feelings, just like even in the last few days, I just feel like I'm already influenced one direction.
All right. So it sounds to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that just because of the nature of this case and what we're dealing with, that you don't think that you could be a fair juror to Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you for letting us know. Yes, you can pass it next to, is that juror 46?
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
How do you feel about the nature of this case, what I've been talking to with your fellow jurors?
I would be impartial to the whole thing across the board. Matter of evidence presented, all procedures are carried out correctly. I'd be impartial.
Do you have any issues or difficulties like truly presuming Mr. Williams innocent given the nature of the allegations against him?
No.
Okay. And how come?
Again, innocent till proven guilty. I'll say it again. You know, procedures are followed through as they should be, because those things can be done incorrectly at times, and then things become why it's going to trial. So no, I'd be impartial.
And do you feel like, in regards to what I've been asking some of your fellow jurors about folks who are experiencing homelessness, do you feel that that means they're more likely to commit crimes?
I was listening to you ask that question, and so there's level of crime, and I think there is probably a little bit more inclination to being homeless, of stealing a 6-pack of beer or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're talking shades of gray. So if the question is, are they inclined to maybe, I think there is some inclination to do that if they are homeless. The level of it is not obviously what we're talking about as far as what the trial is, but yes, I do think there is an inclination for that.
What about violent crimes, more likely to be violent?
Again, by circumstance, I think, yeah, there could be influence in that. But I'd still fall back on that whatever evidence is presented, and to be impartial about, you know, one side to prove guilt, you know,
So let's say, hypothetically, taking us out of this case, but let's say you were a juror or just hypothetical situation, you're a juror and the state has presented evidence to you of a crime, okay? And in one scenario, the person accused of that crime is homeless, and in another scenario, they're not. All other facts are the same. All other evidence is the same except for that one fact. Okay. Would the fact that that person is homeless cause you to, I guess, would that be more evidence to you that they were guilty just by that fact?
no.
Okay. And how come?
Because there have to be proof of committing the crime. Homeless would be a separate element of it, would be nothing. It's just a matter of, in this case, state of Florida, proving that they had committed the crime, whether being homeless or being in a hotel, whatever the case, has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wouldn't see it either way.
Thank you. If you can pass it down to juror 50, I believe. Thanks.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you feel about the nature of this case against?
I mean, like, it's a murder. Obviously, that's not great. I don't really look forward to seeing a bunch of pictures of evidence and all that. So,
do you think that given the fact that a child, it involves the death of a child, that it is more difficult to presume Mr. Williams innocent?
No.
Do you think that because this case involves the death of a child, that somebody needs to be held responsible?
Not necessarily.
Okay, and how come?
I mean, I don't know what happened, so it's hard to say who's responsible.
Do you think that, again, what I was just asking your neighbor, if just because somebody is homeless, that they are more likely to commit crimes?
I think statistically, yes, they probably are because they're more desperate situation, more desperate circumstances that, things happen.
Okay. And so if you were to learn that somebody accused of a crime is homeless or was homeless at the time, would that factor into your evaluation of whether the state has proven their case or not?
No, I just would, once again, I just like to say I think they'd be more likely to be in this situation if they were homeless, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'd be guilty.
Okay. And I had asked Juror 46, that hypothetical where just the only fact that changes is the person accused is homeless. Is that something that would you have a different answer than him? Or
No.
Okay. Thank you. If you could pass it back to Juror 60, please.
Good morning.
Morning. What are your feelings about folks that are experiencing homelessness in the line of questioning that I've asked your fellow jurors?
I don't think that they're more likely to commit a crime. I watch TV news all the time, right? I don't see the majority of those folks being homeless, creating violent or committing violent crime. Never researched the data, but no, I think everyone should be treated equally.
And in terms of the nature of this case, I know that you have a personal connection to the family involved in this case. Do you believe that in any way would affect your ability to evaluate the evidence?
Yeah, I've reflected on that, quite a bit the last couple of days. I do not believe so. I liked what the juror said. I can compartmentalize things. I do believe I can, through your direction, the court's direction and guidance, right? I think I can truly interpret the law and understand it and reflect it back. Life is very important to me. I respect it, whether it's an adult, a child, whether it is a victim or the accused. And I would apply it equally across all.
Okay. And given your relation to the Rogers family, would you feel like if the state hadn't proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt that, well, let me ask you this. Let me ask it a different way. I'll retract that. Do you feel like given that there was a 14-year-old who died, that somebody needs to be held responsible?
I would hope that the state would continue to pursue the person responsible, whether it be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. That doesn't apply, to say that it's Mr. Williams by any means, right? It's just, someone was killed. I would expect that our justice system would pursue the person who committed the crime.
If you could pass it down to Juror 57. Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel about the nature of this case? And as I've been talking to the other jurors, and your ability to truly remain fair and impartial, given that the death of a child was involved?
I think the death of anybody is heart-wrenching and difficult to process. I've myself processed grief before, so I can side with that. However, I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I believe that everybody's not guilty, innocent until proven otherwise.
Do you think that do you think that the presuming Mr. Williams innocent here today is disrespectful to the Rogers family?
No, everybody is innocent. I believe, we have to hear both sides. We have to listen to what's laid out and then make a decision. And, pushing the feelings aside, I probably will cry. To be honest, I am emotional. I'm passionate about certain topics. Yeah.
And given the fact that, and again, it's all human, it's understandable.
We are humans,
That people, we're not asking you to become robots by any means, but do you think that any emotion that you might feel during the trial would influence the emotion itself, influence your verdict in the case?
I mean, I like fairness. I agree with that. I will push through it. I don't know what I will do, obviously, because I haven't done this before or been in this position. However, I know myself and I can be as, objective as I can, trying to see the sides and follow the law.
And so I hear you say be as objective as I can. And so do you have a concern that you might not be objective?
I don't know.
And what is causing you that hesitation or that?
Because I've never been in this position before. I just know that I will.
Because I've never been in this. Could you say what you said again, please?
I've never been in this position before.
Thank you. You can pass it down to juror 55. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think? Do you have any concerns, or how do you feel about the nature of this case and being a truly fair and impartial juror?
I think I am probably one of the majority here that can be impartial. I really have no feelings either way. Obviously, any death is a tragedy in any circumstance. Yeah, I think I probably would fit the bill.
Does the fact of sort of the allegations in this case or the nature of the charge give you hesitation about truly presuming Mr. Williams innocent?
I'm sorry, just say it one more time. Excuse me.
Just the fact that the death of a child is involved in this case and Mr. Williams is charged or accused, can you still truly presume him to be innocent given the nature of the allegations?
I can.
And as it relates to folks that are experiencing homelessness, do you believe that they're more likely to commit a crime just because of that?
I do not.
If you could pass it next to juror 54.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you feel? Do you have any experience with folks that are homeless?
Yeah, I've had good experiences with homeless people. I've given food to homeless people, or I've had friends who were down their luck and became homeless in one way or other, couch surfing. So, I'm not really, homeless people are just people to me, honestly, just down their luck.
What about sort of the nature of the charge and the nature of this?
It's definitely tragic, like a lot of people have been saying, but I'm kind of, like he said, I'm steal his words. I'm in the same boat. I can be impartial towards this,
Do you have any concerns that if you see testimony from a grieving family member or friend, that would invoke sort of sympathy or bias, that emotion would bias?
Not bias, no. I maybe sympathy for that they lost someone, yes, but not sympathy as in he must be guilty because, I can be impartial in that way. That I wouldn't be biased towards them just because they're upset.
Sure.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
I'm just asking if it would affect your verdict or say, hey, maybe the state didn't prove it, but I feel really bad for them.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Thank you. I can pass it next to you.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. You know what my questions are going to be, I think, at this point. So in terms of the nature of the case.
This is the death of a child, which is tragic. And I think any death is tragic, so whether it be an adult. I don't think I would hold it any different as far as how I would view everything.
And do you think that presuming Mr. Williams, truly presuming him innocent, is in some way disrespectful to the Rogers family?
No, I do not.
And do you have any difficulty truly presuming him innocent, given the nature of the allegations?
No, I do not.
All right. And in terms of individuals who are homeless,
I also, there's good and bad in everything, and I believe that there are some homeless that are truly just good people down on hard times. And so, again, I don't think that would influence me in any way.
Thank you. Juror 52, I know we spoke to you at
Morning.
the end of the day yesterday. Are you still having difficulties understanding everything that we're talking about today?
No, but I would say I have the same type of feelings jury 42 has.
Okay. And in regards to the nature of the case,
Yes, with a child,
okay.
the death of a child.
Given the fact that this case involves the death of a child, do you feel like you could be a fair and impartial juror in regards to Mr. Williams?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Do you think you could be a fair juror in this case, given the nature of the charge? Thank you. And if you could pass it back to juror 51, or next to you to 51. Sorry, my numbering. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How do you feel about the nature of the charge?
Like everyone was saying, it's sad, losing a child, but, presented, I'm sure the court is going to present us with, evidence and things of that nature to make our, decision.
Do you have a concern that you might let sympathy for the victim or the victim's family kind of weigh into your decision as a juror?
I believe I can, judge fairly, present it with what the court give us. We can make a wise decision.
Do you have any difficulty presuming Mr. Williams innocent, given the nature of the charge?
Say it again.
Do you have any difficulty presuming Mr. Williams innocent, given the nature of the case?
No.
What do you feel about individuals that are homeless?
I have help, with the homeless. I work with an organization that we would go out and feed the homeless. So, they're like us, they fall on hard times. Some situations are different than others, but.
If you can pass that back to juror 61. Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel about the idea? Do you believe that just because somebody is homeless, that they are more inclined to commit a crime?
I've been thinking about that for 40 people here, and I have to agree with the other juror who said, there is a certain level of desperation in that situation, and, simply meeting your needs. Do you need food? Do you need shelter? Do you need water? Are you cold? That could give you a reason to commit crimes that someone else might not.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes to violent crime, I think other people have said everybody's got their own backstory, and whatever is the trigger to do that could come from anywhere. I don't think that is something that is specifically related to being homeless.
Okay. And in terms of the nature of the case, do you have concerns about your ability to be a truly fair and impartial juror, given that it involves the death of a child?
I do not have those concerns. I feel that the death of any of these people should be seriously considered. And simply the fact of the age of the victim would not cause me to have any sort of bias.
Thank you. Next to you, juror 62. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How do you feel about the nature of the case? The same question I've been talking to your fellow jurors about.
It's definitely a surreal case, very serious case. Yeah.
Do you think that because it involves the death of a child, that it is more difficult for you to presume Mr. Williams innocent?
To an extent. However, I feel like I'm extremely
sympathetic to both sides in most scenarios, and I end up feeling bad for everybody. So depending on the evidence that's presented, or depending on, the defendant's side as well, I end up swaying both ways in some scenarios.
Okay, so I want to unpack that a little bit. So obviously you haven't heard any evidence yet in this case. As we sit here right now, do you believe that Mr. Williams is innocent?
I don't know.
Okay. Are you unable to say that?
Unable to say yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, unable, because I really don't know.
Okay.
I know we're supposed to assume that he's innocent until proven guilty, but in terms of my own opinion, I just don't know.
Okay. So obviously you understood what the judge instructed you on the law, and some people, though, as are just truthfully, given the circumstances, unable to do so.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you fall?
Right now, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and juror 63.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you feel about the nature of this case? Again, the same questions I've been asking your fellow jurors.
It's a tragic case. Anytime someone is murdered, that's a tragic case. But dealing with a child, I have children of my own, and I've been working with children for several years. So I definitely have a soft spot for children. So anytime a child, is murdered, that really touches me. So.
Of course. And that's understandable. Do you think that sort of some of the evidence that you would see as a juror in this case, crime scene photos, autopsy photos, is that something that you would be able to view and evaluate sort of unemotionally and impartially as a juror?
Well, as one of the other jurors said, I'm very emotional. I cry off TV shows and movies when I see, things like that. So definitely if it's being presented to me, I don't, I'll be a mess. I'll cry and, get emotional looking at things like that. And like I said, I've been, with kids, and I have children, that was in my care that, had this type of circumstance, and I didn't take it very well.
And do you think that how do you think that emotion, if you were as a juror and were to see those photos and it react the way that it sounds like you're expecting you might react, how do you think that would impact your ability to kind of impartially view the evidence in this case and make a decision?
I guess depending on, what that evidence, may be. But, if it gets to that point, I don't know how I, would react to it.
Okay. Do you have a concern that the emotional nature of the evidence would impact your deliberation and evaluation of all the other evidence together?
I personally do. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And I did not forget about you guys that I didn't talk to. If we could come down to juror 21, pass the mic down here.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well.
So from your questionnaire, it sounds like you recently had some loss in your family. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
I'm sorry for that. But given the nature that this case involves a death of a child, how do you feel about potentially being a juror on this type of case?
As every juror has stated, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So I wouldn't have an issue with certain things when it comes to the case.
Okay. Do you think that anything that you've personally experienced in relation to the loss that you've experienced would factor into your mind in terms of your evaluation of the evidence as a juror?
I'm going to be honest. I'm a teacher. I used to be a teacher for Miami-Dade County, and I transferred up here to West Palm Beach. And yes, I have experienced a lot of death when it has dealt with my students. So yes, it was very impactful. And for any teacher, it's impactful. Were some crimes unsolved? Yes. Were some crimes solved? Yes. And it did have a major impact on me, of course, because I'm a human being.
Of course.
Just like anyone. And I carry emotions. So.
And I guess, do you think, though, that that experience and those emotions would, be on your mind and impact you as you're evaluating the evidence in this case if you were picked for a juror?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you... And I guess, have you ever been a juror before? I don't.
No, this is my first time.
All right. And so when you say you don't know, is that coming from because you have a concern it might overwhelm you, or is it just that in terms of the emotions and the experiences factoring in, or is it just because you've never done this before and so you truly don't know?
I'm gonna be honest because I'm a very emotional person. I think it can become very overwhelming.
Okay. So do you have a concern that would be something that would happen if you were a juror on this case?
Possibly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Juror 22, you can pass the mic to Juror 22. How do you feel about the nature of this case and what we've been talking about?
I think that the nature of the case won't affect my bias or how I would be able to view the evidence. I'd be able to objectively look at it as such. Any loss is, of course, very hard on the family and just everyone else around. And I would be able to look at Mr. Williams as innocent until proven guilty. I strongly believe and appreciate that written code in our law. Would you like to ask another?
Unless you have more to say about the topic. How do you feel in regards to the questions I was asking some of your fellow jurors about homelessness and folks experiencing homelessness?
I've actually helped gather and run different food banks before, given my previous history. I've talked to many of them as I was helping hand out. Many of them are regular people, normal people who've just had hard times. So I don't believe that being homeless is indication of crime.
Thank you. And Juror 24.
Good morning, Ms. Wilson.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you. In terms of the nature of the case, and being able to truly presume Mr. Williams innocent and set aside some maybe natural emotions regarding the allegations in this case, how do you feel about that?
I am very much on the same page as Juror 11.
Okay.
More so coming in as a sponge. I've done jury duty before for a case that was homicide at the time. I was 18, a senior in high school. So, I mean, I didn't stay for long, but I feel like I can be impartial.
And do you think that you would let any sympathy or empathy for the Rogers family factor into your verdict in this case?
I think as a woman, it's very hard to not feel your emotions, but I think that I can sort of correlate with juror number, I think 5, where she said that you can compartmentalize your emotions. So I think I'm very on board with that. But I'm very similar to juror number 4, where I sometimes can be very emotional and those emotions can be seen on my face. So I'm going to be very honest about that.
But do you feel like those emotions, even if they're all over your face, would be kind of overwhelming in your mind to the point that you were unable to really focus on rationally, logically evaluating the evidence in the case?
No.
But in terms of individuals experiencing homelessness, how do you feel like they're more? Do you have experience?
I do have experience. I've actually used to go to Broward County to do, like we used to feed the homeless. Like we would go as an organization.
Do you feel like just because someone's homeless, they're more likely to commit a crime?
No.
So I want to just ask a general question of the panel, of all of you guys. I want to know if anyone of you guys has heard of the term gang stalking. Gang stalking. If anyone has heard of the term. If you have heard of the term, please raise your paddle. Okay, and when I say the number, okay, hold on just one moment.
Let's take a break. So we're gonna, Ms. Wilson, do we need a break? Maybe a brief break, yes. Okay, we'll take a restroom break. Enjoy your break. That's texting, tweeting, blogging, emailing, sending or accepting messages, communications of any kind about this case or your jury service. Enjoy your break. Okay, just stay behind. No? Okay. Deputy, we'll take a break until like 12:15. Okay. Yes, yes, for the discussion with Mr. Williams, yes. No, when you go to 11B, you take him through the holding cell, not through the hallway, right? Okay, perfect. I just didn't want the jurors to. All right, so we'll all come back out at 12:15 at least.